In the midst of social distancing and business lockdowns, a freelance writer and a graphic artist bought a bus, converted it into a tiny home on wheels, and moved out of our 4-bedroom house. 1 year later, we downsized to a Chevy Express. Now we travel between Texas and Pennsylvania from April through November while exploring small towns with rich histories. In the winter, we hunker down in Texas in our schoolie and dream of our next big trip.
We're Alan and Teresa.
And we're rolling with our nomies.
Awesome. So this building was built in 1895. Nice. Yeah, thank you.
You might want to tell your chemist where we are.
So, this is the Forney Museum. Is that what it's called? Forney
Spelman Museum of Forney History.
Spelman Museum of Forney History in Forney, Texas. Oh, cool. There's a little fire inside this.
Isn't that neat? I love it. We got fire on there. You hear the animals?
Yeah.
I guess so.
Land grants and the Mercer Colony. Located in Mercer Colony, part of the Ferris Survey. With Mexico in 1836, the new republic offered free land to settlers. However, they long delayed putting down roots in the Forney area due to the ferocity with which the Indians defended their territory. After the Treaty of 1843, wherein the Indians agreed to stay west of Fort Worth, more settlers moved to this area. Most entered Texas from the north and used Indian trails as a guide through Texas. They lived in tiny houses.
They did live in tiny houses. That's okay. Tiny house living has its perks. And a blacksmith.
Yeah, a little tribute to blacksmithing. We won't read the plaque on this one. I think we all know what a blacksmith is. But they had interesting for the Indians for that reason. Fence posts made from bois d'arc are still found in old fence rows in Forney, some being over a century old. Many of the old houses in Forney are still supported by large bois d'arc stumps.
The barn in Mesquite.
Yeah.
And the house had bois d'arc.
Yeah. It's very sturdy wood. Dixie Overland Highway, U.S. Highway 80. The early 20th century, soon after the development of the automobile, travelers, city officials, and others began planning for a network of paved overland routes. In the era before the advent of the interstate highway system, road associations provided the vision and the promotion, and states and municipalities provided necessary capital.
The first automobile trip in Texas was made in October 1899 by Edward H.R. Green and George
Highway 80.
In 1919, Auble and Christy Ryder established a jitney or taxi service between Forney and Dallas, which became the Sunshine Bus Line. They first operated out of the building in downtown Forney on the corner of South Boys the Ark and Trinity Streets on the route of the Dixie Overland Highway. In 1931, they moved their enlarged operation to the corner of North Boys the Ark and Broad Streets on the route of the new U.S. Highway 80, which bypassed downtown Forney.
Nice. By that time, the bus route had grown from 52 miles to more than 4,500 miles daily. It was handling more than 200,000 passengers annually.
Or awesome. I'm not sure which.
Oh, a little bit about architecture.
Most of the houses in Forney in the 1890s were Victorian homes. A lot of them still exist, by the way. And were characterized by different chimney designs, different roof pitches, large porches, and transoms over the doors. They featured gingerbread fretwork and spindlework trim on the porches and often fish scale sidings on exterior walls. And a lot of these are still there.
Right.
In fact, all of those are.
Yep. By the 1900s, Victorian architecture had run its course, and the nation's interest had turned to the classical styles of ancient Greece and Rome. Fanciful Victorian was replaced by the solidity of balanced symmetry, light neutral colors, and large columns reaching to the roof of the second floor. Yeah, you can see a lot of the columns in some of the archecture around here too.
Driving the street.
And then the Prairie Style took over.
And succeeding the popularity of the neoclassical house is the Prairie Style. Horizontal lines and relatively simple ornamentation, deeply overhanging eaves, and massive masonry porch supports are characteristics of this style.
And then in the 1920s, construction of large, stylish homes had almost ceased. Although residential construction continued during this period, the houses built were mainly single-story with a front porch and a screened back porch, little ornamentation, and bared beams under the eaves. And you can see a lot of those houses in Forney too.
Beautiful quilt.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Cisterns.
The 1850 census of Kaufman County showed only 9 families scattered along the east fork of the Trinity River between current Rockwall County line and Interstate 20. The area was chosen because water was available and trees provided wood for warmth and cooking. The trees also offered protection from prairie fires and inclement weather. 10 years later, in 1929, the east fork of the Trinity River froze 5 inches thick.
In 1931, an earthquake rocked west and central Texas and stopped clocks in Forney. In 1935, March 4th, tornado cut a swath across Forney from southwest to northeast, doing extensive damage to downtown, destroying most of the neighborhood east of downtown and taking 1 life. And then in 1935, the worst dust storm in Forney's recorded history.
Wow.
During this period, we needed guidance and organization. That leadership came through the efforts of the Commercial Club, a group of 14 visionary businessmen who together brought Forney's water, electrical, and sewage systems. They were responsible for bringing many businesses to town, including the Iceland, a cottonseed oil mill, and a bakery. With their guidance, Forney was reincorporated in 1910 and continues to thrive with new residents.
Forney's agricultural economy had been unhealthy throughout the 1920s. Following the stock market crash on Thursday, October 24, 1929, both the nation's industrial economy and farm commodity prices spiraled downward. especially cotton. In 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt introduced the Agricultural Adjustment Act, commonly known as the Plow Under Program, which was designed to restore cotton prices by paying farmers to destroy 1/4 of the cotton they had planted that year. This program, which seemed to be a great waste by the farmers and others, did increase cotton prices and saved many people from bankruptcy. It was during this period that many blackland farmers began raising Bermuda onions. Some fields produced as many as 150 bushels of onions per acre, earning between $1 and $1.50 per bushel for the farmer. Forney was the largest onion producer in Kaufman County. Production of onions continued until it ceased to be a profitable business sometime in the 1940s.
Must have been a lot of tears back in those days.
I guess. Another government-sponsored program that helped rebuild the economy was the WPA, which hired the unemployed. The Forney School District took advantage of WPA matching funds to build a new high school and a new Negro school, and converted the old Lewis High School into an elementary school. The city of Forney, under the direction of Mrs. S.L. Pyatt, operated a sewing workroom. It employed local women to make various items of clothing until its closures in the early 1940s.
Forneyans are very proud of their sporting history.
They're in the football
They
capital
are.
of the world.
Their mascot is the Jackrabbit, the fighting, vicious Jackrabbit.
Be careful. This is a very neat museum. By 1902, Forney Public School once again needed a new building. The 1889 structure was moved across town to serve as a school for Forney's black students, and was replaced on the original school site by an imposing red brick and stone 2-story 12-room building which housed all grades. In 1922, a separate high school facility, Lewis High School, was built on Buffalo Street between Center and Elm, and the 1902 building took the name Forney Grammar School. Over time, Forney continued to build new and repurpose old buildings. In 1937, the school board voted to pursue a WPA grant for upgrading all school facilities. These and later changes include the following: 1902 school torn down and replaced by a new high school in 1938. 1922 Lewis High School became Forney Grammar School. New school for black students on East Main named Booker T. Washington School. Gymnasium and classrooms were added in the 1950s. In 1966, the schools were integrated. New high school was built further south on Boise Ark in 1974.
As of 2016,
Forney has 2 high schools, 2 middle schools, 9 elementary schools, and an academic center.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you for visiting the Spelman Museum of Forney History. We hope you enjoyed your walk through Forney's rich history. From the coming of the Native Americans to the settlers who brought ranching and agriculture to the area, to the coming of the railroad that brought growth and prosperity, and even through natural disasters, a crippling depression, and 2 world wars, Forney has survived and grown stronger. A small quiet town during the 1970s, Forney is in the throes of unprecedented growth, with residential, retail, and industrial development rapidly expanding. We look forward to more great things in the future, but let us not forget the pioneer families and individuals who helped make Forney a strong community throughout the past 140 years. Many of the stories you encountered in the museum were based on the in-depth research and entertaining writing of Jerry Fluke, historian, educator, civic leader, and author of Forney Country, A History of Northwestern Kaufman County, Texas. Our sincere appreciation is extended to Mr. Fluke for allowing us to use the materials from this book regarding the history of the Forney area and for his many years of service to Forney. Enter the double doors to your right to continue seeing more special exhibits. Watch for upcoming exhibits, presentations, and events throughout the year. The museum welcomes historical photos, family stories, and all kinds of artifacts which would help illustrate the history of Forney. We hope you'll visit the museum often.
And run to the restroom.
Okay. The Native American Trail, sometimes referred to as the Kickapoo Trace, an early Anglo-American road, traversed this area prior to the settlement of the pioneer families of Isaac Briscoe and Jacob Sheltman in the mid-1840s. By 1871, a village called Brooklyn, which included a combined school, church, and lodge building, general store, saloon, and blacksmith shop, was established about 1 mile south of here. This is right in front of the Forney City Hall.
Yep. And you can
If I don't do this right, then I'm going to be on the bad side of my wife. So y'all bear with me and pray for me. But while you're doing that, don't forget, share us with your friends. Like us if you like us. Like us if you don't. Subscribe to the channel. It helps us out. God bless.
Really cool looking mural here in Forney, Texas. What? What? Walter Dixon Adams and the Adams Drugstore. A native...
right here.
Huh?
This was the Adams Drugstore.
Yeah, this building.
Yeah.
A native of Kaufman County, Walter Dixon Adams came to Forney in 1887. In 1893, he purchased the F.M. Adams Drugstore, a successor of the R.C. Dansby Drugstore, established in 1878. He was the town's most prominent druggist for the next 68 years. Nice.
Originally on South Boys d'Arc Street, the store was relocated to Main Street in 1901. A respected community leader, Adams was elected mayor in 1912 and held offices in state and national professional organizations. Still a thriving local business, the Adams Drugstore was moved to the site in 1976.
Where is it?
That is the Adams Drugstore.